Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting evening of racing here on the Pony Express Sim Racing channel. I am your host once again, JR Kopp, as we get ready for tonight's event, coming to you live from Daytona, home of the Roar before the 24, the Daytona 24, and Endurance for Amateurs own Pony Express Sim Racing. Hour and 40 minutes of excitement and great racing as we just get underway here tonight with qualifying. Starting to see some of these guys jumping out on track. So here tonight we got your GTE class and your GT3 class. As points stand right now, this is round 11. David Lehman is your current leader in GTE. He has got a slim 9-point lead over one Mr. Paul Skip. And 9 points behind that is Mr. Patrick Ripley. Unfortunately, Patrick is not going to be on track tonight. He has been called out for some important work-related duties, so Patrick's not going to be joining us tonight. Luckily, these guys do have 4 drop weeks, so hopefully that won't affect Patrick's overall standing. Down in GT3, we have a points battle between Aaron Claybaugh, who's got a 1-point lead over Nicholas Paletti as it stands right now after 11 rounds. And just a little bit further back in third place is Jimmy Covert. So last week we had Ryan Tyler took home the victory in Phillip Island in GTE, and Benjamin Morales ran away with things in the GT3 field. Now, I have not seen Benjamin's name up on the screen tonight. We still have a lot of guys joining. Oh, no, there's Benjamin. So Benjamin, last week's winner, will definitely be here tonight. And let's see if Mr. Ryan Tyler has made it. I am not seeing Ryan Tyler's name as of now. But again, you know, we have 8 minutes of qualifying left. So plenty of time for these guys to get out there and see how what we got going on in qualifying. Like I said, everybody's just getting out, getting their sighting laps in. So we got no times coming up as we ride along here with Mr. Tom Corner. Hopefully Tom has a good race tonight. He missed a few weeks, but nice to see. Tom did mention that if he does not have a good night, he will be joining me in the booth once again. So we're hoping to not see Tom, and hopefully we'll get to speak to Tom after the race is over. Again, thanks everyone for stopping by the channel tonight and watching. Hopefully I provide a little bit of entertainment, and I know these guys will provide some great racing. Like I said, we're just getting underway with qualifying. Nobody has even put in a lap yet. Quite the lengthy out lap here at Daytona. So we're gonna see lap times here for the GT3 cars probably in the low 140s, and the GT3 cars are running right around 145s. Are pretty good lap times, pretty average lap times. See if we can find Mr. Paul Skip here. Paul, who is set the fastest first sector, personal best in the second sector. So Paul lays down a 142.3. As you start to see some qualifying times, Terry Kroger jumps to the top of the leaderboard with a 142 flat. And Tom Corner is on top of your GT3 leaderboard at the moment with a 144.4. Nice to see Tom back in the seat, putting down a great lap time. As we see here, and this is all without the draft, so once the draft comes into effect. But once again, last week's winner I see now, Benjamin Morales, laying down a couple purple sectors. This should be a quick lap time as he comes to the start-finish line. See where he jumps up to the top of the leaderboard with a 144.2. As Terry Kroger Jr., who has been fast all season, just seems to get caught up in a lot of mistakes that are not his own. Still sitting up there on top of the GTE leaderboard. Again, these guys got 2 laps. No off tracks, or that lap is deleted. Looks like Paul Skip is 2 tenths behind Tyler Langenberg. see if Mr. Terry Kroger Jr. can improve on his lap time as he comes through the bus stop. Luckily for the guys here tonight, they have removed those unsightly, massive sausages that they put in for the Daytona 24. I'm not sure why, but that ruined a lot of races really quick. As Terry Kroger's coming around to Daytona turn 4 to come across the start-finish line, see if he can improve on that time. Looks like he's had a couple fast sectors, and he does improve just a little bit. A 141.9. Nice lap by Mr. Terry Kroger as he parks that bad boy. Gets ready for qualifying. We'll jump in with Tyler Langenberg. See as he comes through the infield section. Gonna hold that thing wide open. Down into the second horseshoe here. Takes that nice outside to inside line. That's a pretty popular line. You see a lot. Some guys have opted for that inside line, which kind of forces people to pass them on the outside. Now, they're always defending, but if you're used to that line, it's pretty simple. Now, we did have a change in setups with Season 2 in iRacing, and a lot of conversation last week about how that coming onto the banking there at Daytona is going to work. Let's see, what do they call that? So I guess that would be turn 6 coming onto the NASCAR track there. Pardon me if you hear some coughing in the mic tonight. I apologize. Still battling with whatever this is. We see Ronnie Osmer puts in a quick lap time there. Going to slot him in at 4th as we round out qualifying. Still got a few people left on track. Let's see. Carl Handwerk, who is... Oh, Carl comes in with a nice time. 2/10 off of Benjamin's time. Carl back in the usual Ferrari. Nice to see Carl back in his usual ride there. So it looks like... Looks like we do have 13 cars in GTE tonight. We have Nick Terrell and Bryce Anderson have yet to set a time, and they may be just starting from the back. Over in GT3, we have 22 cars tonight. So quite a lot of gentlemen on tonight. 40 cars. Almost 40 cars tonight. So this is going to be a lot of fun, exciting multi-class racing. You're going to see these guys. The draft is going to play a big effect around the high banks of the NASCAR circuit. These guys are going to have a massive difference in closing speeds, which is going to cause a lot of action, especially come around turn 1 with the GTE cars having such a big speed difference, but the GT3 cars can get in there a lot deeper with that ABS system that they're allowed to run. As we're on with Daniel Reel. I'm not familiar with Daniel. I have not seen him on the Endurance for Amateur Series before, so it's nice to see some new guys out here. See what kind of time Daniel runs. He's got a couple of orange sectors, a couple of green sectors coming across the finish line. Daniel is going to set a time of, looks like 1:44.8, which slots him in around 7th place. Nice laps there by Daniel as we get ready to end qualifying here. So it looks like GTE, you're going to have Terry Kroger on the pole, followed by Paul Skip. Row 2, you're going to see Tyler Langenberg, Ronnie Osmer. Oh, no, Bryce Anderson does set a time, and he slides in there at the last minute in 5th position. Brad McComb's up there in 6th. Now, I say they're going to start in rows, but here in the Endurance for Amateur Series, we do not start in rows. They are all single file restart or single file starts. So see if we can get that up there on the screen real quick where these guys grid up. So here you see Terry Kroger, Paul Skip, Tyler Langenberg, Ronnie Osmer, Bryce Anderson, Brad McCombs, Paul Boyle, Aaron Fulford, Daniel Higley, Christian Adamakura. Oh, sorry, Christian. I'm probably going to get that wrong. Doug Augerbright, Atticus Middleton, and Nick Terrell. And that's how they're going to start in GTE. GT3, Benjamin Morales, Carl Handwerk, Tom Cormer, Jimmy Covert, Nicholas Pletty, Aaron Claybaugh, your points leader. Daniel Reel, Andrew Malinowski, James Foreman, Marcus Osborne, Sean Adkins, Ryan Glover, Richard Curry, Adrian Garcia, Gary Schilling, Dave Ferrara, Richard Hurst, Tony Watson, Chris Lawson, our own Zach Nurnberger, Daniel Barrett, and Mark Thomas. And that's how we're going to roll underway here at Daytona in your Endurance for Amateur series as these guys get set to grid up. Now, they are going to do single file starts. So once the pace truck starts moving, they will single file, leave a little gap between GTE and GT3. And I'm going to guess there is going to be no passing rule tonight until at least after turn 1, maybe past the turn 3 International Horseshoe. That is a rule that is implemented here at Endurance for Amateurs. That way we make sure everybody gets a good clean start and nobody ruins somebody's day on lap number 1. Also, new rules in place for tonight's race. There is a 20 incident limit. Once they hit that dreaded 20 incident points, they will have a drive-through penalty. It was 30 in previous races, and the admins decided that needed to be brought down a little bit. We needed to clean up the racing, tighten things up a little bit, as we see Sean Adkins has jumped to the pits. Wonder if he has chosen to start from the pits or if he has forgotten to change his setup at the last minute. Hopefully, Sean is able to recover from that. That will put him dead last in the field. But we shall see. Wish Sean the best of luck. Sean is a regular here in the booth and on the podcast as well. In case you need to catch up on anything Pony Express related, you can check out the podcast, PE Sim Racing, the podcast. You can go to PESimRacingThePodcast.com. Check that out. Tyler and myself, along with Sean Atkins, Zachary Nurnberger, Mark, Paul Skip, and a host of others, jump on there. We even reach out and try to have some actually important people jump on the podcast with us. So please check that out. Give a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and listen and follow to the podcast. We do appreciate all the help and support. As we get ready here for 100 minutes, an hour and 40 minutes of racing here at Daytona as we get set for the green flag. Terry Kroger is going to lead them all into turn 1, nice and single file. So by having that no passing rule, that usually means that nobody's going to dive bomb anybody and jump to the inside and wreck anybody's day in turn 1. Let's jump back here real quick and make sure that the GT3 field gets underway as well. As you see Benjamin Morales, who is quick, ladies and gentlemen. He is a man to keep an eye on tonight. And right behind him is Carl Handwerk. Now, Carl is the de facto master of strategy and tire conservation. If there is the perfect strategy to be played out, Mr. Carl Handwerk will be the gentleman playing that out. As you see, these guys have already managed to pull a gap on Tom Cormer and Jimmy Covert, which is not surprising. Benjamin is right on the back. And we have Brad McCombs has had an off track. Let's see what happens to Mr. McCombs. Hopefully it's nothing bad. Looks like he's just going to get in there a little bit hot maybe. Oh, yep, just loses the rear end. Unfortunately for Brad, that's in a bad spot. He's hopefully going to be able to rejoin without causing any incidents and taking anybody else out. As you're going to watch here, we're going to follow along with Benjamin Morales and Carl Handwerk, and you're going to see what happens with the draft. As Carl behind him, he's going to pull out coming into the bus stop. Carl's going to make that dive up the inside. And that's going to leave Benjamin following. Oh, we got an incident involving a lot of drivers here tonight. Aaron Fulford, Christian Adam Akura, and Paul Boyle all have had an incident. Let's see if we can see what happens with these gentlemen. This is coming down into the bus stop. And this is Aaron Fulford, and he just gets a little bit hot, and oh no, he gets caught up. Oh, and then Paul Boyle. Oh, what a poor timing for Paul Boyle. No fault of his own. He's had to jump to the pits and use that fast repair early. That is not what Paul Boyle wanted to have happen here tonight. As you see this battle up here in GT3, GT3 cars are actually catching the back of the GTE field at the moment. And we are actually... Oh, it's Sean Adkins has had an incident. See what can happen to Sean Adkins. Where is Sean Adkins? Here we go. See, Sean is all by himself coming down into turn 1. Gets in there a little bit deep, maybe. Oh, it just catches the inside and into the wall. Oh, and unfortunately for Sean, there's no place to go, and that's a full lap before he can get into the pit lane. As you see the field leaders going behind there. Not the start Sean Adkins wanted as well. We're going to jump up here with our GTE field. Every time we want to jump in a car, we want to jump inside. We can see what the draft is like as we're on board with Mr. Paul Skip. As he's going to pull right up on the back of Terry Kroger Jr. Wisely, you can see he backs out. Not going to make that pass just yet. As we've had some incidents, Marcus Osborne has had an incident. Well, that is the aftermath of the incident. Let's see if we can happen. Wow, that's not going to help us out there, SDK. We want to see the actual incident. Let's see if we can rewind that here. As he just gets it wrong going into the bus stop. He's on the brakes a little bit hard. You can see the back end gets loose, and Marcus just goes around and manages to stay clear of everybody. And Jimmy Covert's had an incident. Let's see if we can find out what happened to Jimmy Covert. Third place in our points in GT3. As he is on the inside coming down into turn 1. And oh, just gets in and gets loose. And oh man, what a hard hit as he catches the inside tire barrier going into pit lane. Lucky for him, these are fake cars. And Aaron Fulford has had an incident as well. Let's see what happens to Aaron as he's coming into the west chicane. Getting in there a little bit hot, just loses the front end. Just a little bit hard on the braking. Now he's got that struggle of pulling back onto the track without causing anybody any issues. All right, well, a lot of action going on here early, only 5 minutes in. A lot of time left for these guys as you start to see our top 5 in GTE. Terry Kroger Jr., Paul Skip, Tyler Langenberg, all within a second. A little bit further back, you see, as Bryce Anderson's going to run it wide. Manages to keep it on track, though. Nice driving by Bryce Anderson. Able to hold that thing on track. Now he's going to have the inside line here on Ronnie Osborne. Ronnie's going to try to do the over-under. And, Bryce holds that line nice and tight. And you're kind of one line through here, through the kink. Not a good place to try to make a pass on somebody. And this is where we see a lot of different lines. Some guys opt for the inside line. You'll see Brad McCombs. He likes to take that inside line all the time. Keeps other guys from passing him there. We're going to stay on here with Mr. Ronnie Osborne and see what kind of draft help he gets coming down in the NASCAR turn 3. As it looks like we've lost the track map. So we are going to attempt to get the track map back here in just a second. We'll reload the overlays and see if the track map pops back up. There we go. All right, as we see the battle tonight so far is in GTE. Top 5 all within a second and a half of each other. And as long as they can stay within that draft, these guys will continue to run around like this. Bryce Anderson, you see there just on the back, just getting a little bit of the draft from Tyler Langenberg, trying to get back up there, keep with these guys. And let's check what we got. We got Carl Hanwick and Benjamin Morales have managed to put a little distance between Tom Cormer, Aaron Clayball, and the rest of the field. Again, Carl and Benjamin, they're down in the points because they missed a few races early, but these two gentlemen are quick and very good on tires and typically push each other every race, as we see Jimmy Covert coming out of the pits. Fortunately for Jimmy, not going to be not the start that he wanted tonight. Benjamin and Carl battled last week in Phillip Island for the good portion of the race, and then Carl just had an unfortunate unforced error. And off as we see, let's see, Gary Schillings had an incident. See if we can find out what happened to Gary here. He's disappearing. Gary in the green just gets a little bit wide. I don't know if there's any contact there. Now he's kind of stuck waiting, letting the field go by, and not much you can do as he pulls in behind Tony Watson and the others. Christian's had an incident. Let's see what happens to Christian in that turn 1. Looks like Christian's had a big incident here coming down into turn 1. Coming in there really hot and just gets it in there way too hot and way too deep. And that's going to put a flat spot. And looks like he has pulled it into the pits. Let's see what happens to Mr. Middleton. Atticus up in the GTE field this week. And just loses it coming onto that banking coming up into the NASCAR. Atticus, no damage to the car there other than a cone, but he will survive that one. As we see Carl Handwork and Benjamin Morales still in a tight little battle here. Meanwhile, back up here, we see Bryce Anderson and Ronnie Osmer have caught the back of the lead pack here. Dave Ferraris had an incident. Oh, Dave. Let's see what happens to Dave as he's coming down. In the liquid molly coming into the bus stop. Oh, you can see he's already loose. Oh, and hard into the tire barrier. And Dave does not where he wanted to be as he gets on the tow truck back to the pits. You see Ronnie Osmer using that draft, pulls out. Looks like that Porsche's got a little bit more pace at the moment. As Bryce is able to hold Ronnie off, that Corvette just doesn't seem to have the pace. As you see a line of Porsches up here. Ronnie Osmer, the lone Corvette up here in the Porsche party. As we are going to stay with our lead group here for a minute. And I am going to step away for a quick break. And we shall be right back here on the Pony Express Sim Racing YouTube channel. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back as we see Bryce Anderson has just had an incident. See if we can find out what happened to Mr. Anderson coming into turn one. Him and Tyler Langenberg. Bryce gets in just a little bit hot and locks up the front end. Ooh, he is lucky he didn't catch anything. He's able to keep on rolling. As you see Ronnie Osmer now on the back of Bryce Anderson once again. We'd like to say hello to everyone that's watching on the YouTube channel. Mr. Diaz, nice to see you could join us. Nami, appreciate you stopping by watching. Barry, looks like you are getting your wish tonight. Carl is having a great race. Nice to have you join us, Carlos. Appreciate you stopping by. Hopefully everybody enjoys the broadcast here as much as I do putting this thing on. Oh no, we have an incident here. Aaron Fulford. You see Benjamin Morales coming around. Benjamin's got the inside. Let's see what happens to Aaron. He just gets a little bit loose coming around. See that a lot tonight. That corner catches a lot of people out. It's so flat and you're carrying so much speed. As Terry Croker Jr. and Paul Skip are just riding around with each other here. Looking to log some laps. Got a couple of pit stops tonight. Ooh, you see Paul Skip getting in there a little bit hot. Paul said he was pretty excited about this week. He likes Daytona. He likes racing here. Curious to see if he got that new wheel. He's talking about getting a new wheelbase. Hopefully he picks that up soon. See if we can check out some of the action down here in GT3. As we know, Carl has managed to put a nice little gap on Benjamin Morales. He's got a 2.5 second lead. But further down, we got some good battles going on. Let's see, we got James Foreman, Richard Curry, Chris Lawson, Andrew Malinowski. All these guys are right in a bunch. We see them all coming down into turn one. Oh, they're catching some lap traffic here. Trying to negotiate some of the slower cars. Things get a mess down in turn one. Everybody's carrying so much speed. You're drafting. You're trying to negotiate that turn one. Carry as much speed in there as you can. But it is a tricky corner coming off the banking. There's the transition. But let's check out one Mr. And we're probably going to curse him, and that's okay. Zachary Nuremberg riding around out here tonight in the Lamborghini. Up 13 positions tonight for Zach. Zach's having a great run. He is currently... Oh, he just disappeared off my timing and scoring screen. There he is in 7th place. Coming up on the back of Nicholas Paletti, who is 2nd in the points championship at the moment. So nice race from Zach. Right behind him, we have Richard Curry. And that battle going on between Richard Curry, Andrew Malinowski. Just a little bit further back now. James Foreman's falling a little bit further off. We see Richard Curry. As you see these guys coming up on Dave Ferrara, who is a lap down. In fact, let's see if we can pull up the battle box. See if that pulls up on the screen for everybody to see, so we can see who's right around here. We got Zachary Nuremberger a little bit further up front. You see Doug Algebright in there. Dave Ferrara, Richard Curry. All these guys in a good battle. Well, Dave, unfortunately, is a lap down, but these guys are going to use Dave. Dave's quick. And Dave's going to pull over a little bit, let these guys through. He knows they're a lap ahead of him. He's trying to let them through. You're trying to stay out of everybody's way. Oh, no, Tom corner. See what happens to Tom. Tom said if he crashes early, he's joining me in the booth, and I told him I hope I don't see him until it's... Oh, he just gets wide there. Oh, lucky for Tom. Nobody hits him. He's able to get that Porsche spun back around and get back on track. Nice driving, Tom. Nice safe entry there, buddy. All right, these guys have managed to make their way around Dave. Get back in the battle. As everybody has kind of settled in. Our top two up here in GTE still battling it out. Terry Kroger Jr. and Paul Skip. They have been this way since the drop of the flag. Since we decided to go racing, these two took off and had not looked back. Now they are going to start coming up on some slower traffic here. Some lap guys. Guys that have had some issues. As you see Tyler Langenberg behind them there going a little bit wide in the west chicane. Or actually that was the international horseshoe there. These guys are down in the other horseshoe. Let's see who we got. We got Tom Corner and Ryan Glover are locked in a little battle here. Less timing and scoring is lying to me. They should be. There we go. In the WeatherTech Porsche tonight. Nice paint scheme there, Ryan. Was getting that confused earlier with the Tony Watson paint scheme. Tony back here in the 59 Porsche. Coming up on a bunch of cars. Tony to negotiate his way through there. Tony having another solid race. Up 6 positions already. You see him pull on the inside of James Foreman. Oh, just may have touched a little bit there. It's going to cost Tony coming down into the kink, though. As Mark Thomas is going to be right on the back of him now. Mark wisely pulls in, lets Tony have that spot back. Yeah, they're coming on the back of James Foreman, who I believe is a lap down from these guys. No, he appears to be on the same lap. So, as they're coming on the back of Dave Ferrara, who is a lap down. They're going to use Dave here as a nice draft. We're going to jump on board with Tony and see if see what he can do coming down into the bus stop. You see Dave Foreman right in front of him. Dave Ferrara, or James Foreman, excuse me. Tony's got the inside line, and nope, just go. James with a nice, drives it in there deep and makes it stick. See what kind of run Tony gets coming out of the bus stop. Let's check over real quick with Benjamin Morales. Has had an incident. Hopefully it's not the biggest. He's made the pass. And he gets in there. Oh, just gets in there a little bit hot. And you can see, oh no, and Benjamin tags the front end. Oh, and he's in a bad spot as everybody. That's a very blind corner there as Benjamin's able to pull out and get that thing going again. Looks like we do have quite a bit of damage there. That front splitter is not in a good spot. That is going to cost him severely in coming down. As we jump back on board here with Tony Watson, he's going to dive up the inside of Dave, and he's going to hold that line tight. Dave fighting him here. Dave, a little bumping. Oh, and Tony is not happy with that. I think that might have knocked Tony's steering out. Unfortunately for Tony, that is not what he wants to have happen. Tony got caught up in the Ofre race as well, so not a good time for Tony. Tony, one of the mainstays here in Endurance for Amateurs. Been around since season 1. Former champ. Sad to see Tony have an incident like that happen. Meanwhile, up here in GT3, Carl Handwerk has set sail and left everybody behind. I'll tell you who hasn't left everybody behind is Terry Kroger Jr. He has still got Paul Skip 6/10 behind him as we close in on 22 minutes, lap 13 here in the Endurance for Amateur Series. As Paul and Terry continue to battle, Tyler Langenberg has fallen 3.5 seconds off. He's kind of in no man's land. He doesn't have a draft to help him any. So he's just turning lap times by himself. And you see Bryce Anderson and Ronnie Osmer still battling it out. These two have been neck and nose to tail all race long. Bryce managed to get away for a little bit there, then had that incident in turn 1, and that allowed Ronnie to close right back up on the back of him. We see Tony Watson has jumped to the pits He's going to use that fast repair. Hopefully he's able to get back out and not lose too much time. No, it looks like got a few guys. Paul Boyle, Christian, Dave Ferrara, Chris Lawson, Richard Hurst, and Jimmy Covert are all lapped down currently. In fact, I think Paul Boyle may have put it on the hauler and called it a night. Yep, he and Christian have called it an evening, an early evening for those two guys, unfortunately. We are underway here, coming to you live from Daytona Road Course. Oh, bit of an incident. Looks like David Reel. Hopefully he doesn't get in the way of the two leaders in GTE. Looks like Terry Kroger's managed to pull a little bit of a gap. I don't know if Paul's going to get much of a draft coming down the back straight here. Terry is laying down some pretty good lap times, as they both are. They're both really close. And we see Tom Corner is still in a good battle here with Ryan Glover, as they are coming out of the International Horseshoe into the kink, down into the West Horseshoe. Nice driving by these two gentlemen tonight. Tom wasn't sure if he was going to have the pace tonight. As you see the brakes on that Porsche just going, a lot of rear brake bias in that Porsche of Ryan Glover tonight. See if he gets some draft. See if there's enough draft for him to pull up alongside Tom. Does not look like it tonight. At least not yet. We still have quite a bit of racing to go. Only 25 minutes into this hour and 40-minute race. Would imagine we will be seeing pit stops here shortly. Now, I believe that the GTE drivers are going to have 2 pit stops, and if I'm not mistaken, GT3 is running a full fuel tank this race, so these guys are going to go for quite a ways before they have to pit, and it's not sure if they are going to have to take tires or not. It'll be interesting to see what different strategies play out, as we got quite a ways to go for GT3 cars for that, but the GTE battle here is still heated between Terry Kroger and Paul Skip. Oh, we have an incident with Doug Augebright. Let's see what happens to Doug. Coming down into turn 1. Looks like he's just going to get in. Whoa, really hot there. And Doug he was in there pretty hot. Looked like he was almost able to make that stick. I don't know if he got a little loose or if there was just a little bit of contact. But fortunately for Doug, that's going to put him behind the 8 ball. Looks like he is just making sure he's clear to get back on pit lane. We have an incident with Chris Lawson. Let's see what happens to Chris. Coming into in and out, turn 6, up onto the banking. Again, it's really flat part, and you want to carry a lot of speed through there because it's going to, your momentum there carries all the way down that back straight. And he just gets it wrong a little bit, loses the back end. You see that a lot here at Daytona. Back up with our leaders, Terry Kroger and Paul Skip. Looks like Paul has managed to close that gap just a little bit. We ride along here. Our leaders in GTE. Looks like we do have a little battle down here with Mark Thomas and Mr. Garcia. Adri Garcia. Followed closely by one Mr. Marcus Osborne. You see James Foreman here. These 3 gentlemen, 4 racers, as We see, looks like Adrian is going to go up the inside. Is he going to be able to make that stick? And he does. What a nice pass. Really good on the brakes there by Garcia. He gets around Mark Thomas as those two battle for 10th position. And that's allowed Marcus Osborne to close right up on the back of them. Nice to see Marcus up there. Battling for top 10 finish here early on in... Oh, as we see Ronnie Osborne's pulled into the pit lane. Not sure if that's a scheduled pit stop or a little strategy being played by Ronnie. But he is in the pit stop right around 28 minutes, so 17 laps. Unfortunately for Carl, when you have a 15-second lead, you don't get a lot of airtime. Normally, Carl's in a good battle. But tonight, due to some incidents, not of his own... actually, Carl is up into 7th place overall. So nice bit of driving tonight by Carl. These GTE cars having to make that extra pit stop is going to allow for the GT3 cars to really play a big factor in tonight's overall race. It's nice to see Carl up there having a great race. Nice clean race once again by Carl. You see Aaron Clayball back here in 2nd place. You got our last week's leader, Benjamin Morales in 3rd place, followed by Ryan Glover and Tom Corner, rounding out your top 5 in GT3. GTE, we got Terry Kroger Jr. still leading Paul Skip, followed by 3rd place Tyler Langenberg, which is where those three have been all night long. Bryce Anderson currently in 4th. Daniel Higley rounding out your top 5. Now we did have Ronnie Osmer is pulled in for his pit stop already. So a splash and dash for Ronnie at a 19-second pit stop. We'll have to see where that plays out with everybody else. So Ronnie came in on lap 17. Let's see where our leaders Terry and Paul come in, as they have coming down into the west chicane yet again, and you can see they're starting to come up on the back of the GT3 field. Tony Watson's had another incident now. Tony, see if we can see what happened with Tony tonight. This is coming into the bus stop. Gets in, looks like he's in a little bit too hot and just loses the rear end. And around he goes, able to keep it off the wall and keep it out of anybody else. And going to spin that thing around and get going again. All right, let's see as our leaders come into the bus stop. See if we have any takers for pit stops here. Oh, Terry just disappeared for a second there. Does not look like the Porsches are coming in for a pit stop just yet. We're going to come around and complete lap 18. Oh, they are going to stay out for one more lap. Tom and Ryan continue to battle here in GT3. There we go. It's a battle for 4th in class between Tom Corner and Ryan Glover. See, these guys they've been like this for the better part of the last 10 minutes or so. Nice clean racing. They're just following each other around, putting in some good solid lap times. And here we have one Zachary Nurnberger, who's having a great race tonight, up to 14th place currently. He has gotten past Nicholas Paletti. Running some nice, consistent lap times is Zach. Nice to see him up there battling for a top 5 so far. Now, I say that, and if Zach has issues, I apologize, Zach. I cursed you yet again. Zach is really good at this track. He likes this track. And he has that nice... I have not seen that paint scheme on the Lamborghini before. Running the Pony Express paint scheme. Nice to see Zach having a good race. Up 14 spots. Looking to gain on Ryan Glover, who is... It looks like he's about 5 seconds ahead of... Oh, we've had an incident with Benjamin Morales. Another incident with Benjamin. Let's see what happens. That is not Benjamin. That's Aaron Fulford. We want Mr. Morales coming into the International Horseshoe. And oh no, is he going to get caught up in... Oh no, what is that? Aaron Fulford just takes Benjamin out. Uncharacteristic of Aaron, but that was... I don't know what happened there. Unfortunately for Benjamin Morales, just caught up in that. Not the night Benjamin was hoping to have, that is for sure. As we see Terry Kroger and Tyler Langenberg have pitted. But it appears that Mr. Paul Skip has stayed out one more lap. Paul getting some good gas mileage, sitting back there in that draft. Has worked well for Paul here tonight. As he comes around, coming up into the bus stop area. Well, Paul has managed to do one more lap than everybody else. I wonder if he's going to be able to do 2 more laps. Be interesting to see where he pulls out as we see. Looks like Ryan Curry coming back onto the track just in front of him there. Now Paul is going to, if he's able to do one more lap, nope, looks like he is coming into pit lane. He's going to get that Porsche slowed down. See what kind of pit times he's running here. We mentioned earlier Ronnie Osmer had a 19-second pit stop. Terry Kroger had a 22-second pit stop. Tyler Langenberg was in for 21 and a half. And your leader at the time, Mr. Paul Skip, comes in. And you see Bryce Anderson right behind him. And that is going to put Nick Terrell out in the lead. Well, no, Nick's coming into the pit stop. So the question is, where does... And he has disappeared off my screen. Terry Kroger Jr. There we go. As he's coming around pit lane. There he's coming around the start-finish line. So here's Terry. And where does Paul come out at? These two are going to be right next to each other coming into the International Horseshoe. And Terry's going to get out just in front. So just as they entered, they exit. Now the question is, can Paul, who's on a little bit colder tires, he's got those cold tires, he's got that full fuel load, can he stay with Terry until he gets back to pressure and gets back to tire temperatures? And all he's got to do is hang on through this next corner. If he does that, he should be able to stay in the draft, let those tires get up to temperature. And it looks like Paul is going to just catch enough of the draft where he should be able to stay with Terry. What that pit stop did do, though, is it allowed Tyler Langenberg to cut into that lead. He was almost 3.5 seconds behind going into the pit stop, and he has managed to cut that down into 2 seconds now. Meanwhile, Bryce Anderson back there in 4th place. And it looks like Ronnie Osmer has had an incident, or maybe he has left the race. See if we can find out what happened to Ronnie. And it looks like Ronnie is out of the race. Not sure if he had an incident. I didn't see anything pop up. But he has no longer on my timing and scoring. So sad to see Ronnie having a rough race here tonight. He had some good pace. Not the pace that these two gentlemen have, but he did have some good pace. As we see Carl Handwerk, who has managed to work himself up into 4th overall. Not something you normally see in multi-class racing, is the slower class managed to work his way up into 4th overall. Now, I give a lot of credit to Carl for being consistent and fast, and for, I guess, Mark Dillon for implementing the new 100% fuel rule, which is going to lead to some of this on these tracks. For the GT3 guys who, by not having to pit that extra time, are going to manage to hang around up here near the top of the leaderboard. Aaron Claybaugh, who is our current points leader, running in 2nd. Nice to see Aaron having a great race, although we haven't seen a lot from him. He's just been having a quiet race back here in 2nd place all night long. Tom Cormer and Ryan Glover are still locked in this battle. There we go, as the battle box decides to show itself back. Nope, and it's gone. Well, let's jump back in here with our leaders, Terry Kroger, who is 1/10 of a second ahead of Paul Skip. And it looks like Paul's strategy for tonight might actually just be ride around behind Terry, let Terry burn up that fuel, get a couple extra laps, so that last pit stop, Paul is going to have probably a 2-second shorter pit stop than Terry. And I would imagine right now Terry's thinking, yeah, why don't you lead for a little while? I'll follow the leader for a little bit. These two are both good, clean racers. They know what they're doing. Be interesting to see how this plays out. And Tyler Langenberg back here just a little bit farther in 3rd place, trying to catch that draft, just trying everything he can to get the back of Paul Skip so he can get caught up to the top 3 and battle for that top position. Looks like got some issues going on. Zachary Nurberger up to 6th place again, still up 14 spots for Zach. Nice racing by Zach, as he's managed to put a little bit of distance between him and Nicholas Paletti now, as he starts to hunt down Benjamin Morales, who he can now see in his windscreen. They are on the same piece of tarmac. In fact, last lap times, let's see, we had a 1:45.08 by Benjamin and a 1:44.7 by Zach. So Zach is slowly catching Benjamin. Benjamin, you can see the front of that car has a lot of damage to it. He's had a couple incidents tonight, unfortunate incidents that were not of his own doing. But Benjamin still managing top 5 at the moment. He is unfortunately 10 seconds. Well, no, he's only 2.5 seconds there behind Ryan Glover. So you can see those guys as they go through the horseshoe now, as Benjamin is himself going through those. He is right on the back of them. Now the key here is if Zach needs to catch the back of Nick Terrell and get a little bit of a draft, because right now it looks like Benjamin is able to hold his own. He's hoping Nick pulls ahead. Nick should be able to take him on the straightaway fairly easily. Nick in that GTE class. I don't know if Nick's got some damage. And this is where Benjamin is going to pull right up on the back of him again. We start to see James Foreman there pulling out of the pits, right next to Tom Corner and Ryan Glover. These guys have been battling. Looks like Tom's able to put a little bit of a distance between him and Ryan Glover now. Nice racing tonight by Tom Corner. He's been in the booth a few times. Nice to see him back on track. See if we got any other close battles going on. Looks like everybody's kind of got a little bit of a distance between themselves now, with the exception of Terry and Paul up here still riding around. Now they've managed to put a little bit of time on Tyler Langberg. He's 2.5 seconds back now. And the leader here in GT3, Carl Handwerk, is just laying down great lap times. A 1:43.9 by Carl. Wow, that is a extremely fast lap. That is faster than a lot of the GTE field tonight. So nice racing by Carl, who is currently leading the GT3 field, but 4th overall. And you see Bryce Anderson just a little bit behind Carl, just trying to catch some draft from Carl, and then Carl will in turn drive around as close as he can to Bryce and have Bryce hopefully pull him closer to Tyler Langenberg, but farther away from Aaron Clayball. As you see here, he's got a 23-second lead here as we come around to 43 minutes in to our hour and 40-minute race. Just under an hour left for these guys here at Daytona. Once again, we are the Pony Express Sim Racing channel, brought to you by Pony Express Sim Racing, 3HM Entertainment, AlienAwards.net. Thanks for everyone for hosting. If you'd like what you see here, check out PonyExpressSimRacing.com. You can sign up there. You can check out the Pony Express Sim Racing Discord channel. A lot of great things going on. We do have several classes, not just endurance for amateurs. We have open wheel for amateurs, Pro 4 trucks, NASCAR for amateurs. And getting ready to wrap up season 1 here. Got just a couple weeks left of season 1. In fact, next week we will be at Road America for the Endurance for Amateur series here on Wednesday nights. We have a couple different series starting up. We have a Dark Horse series, new series next season, raising the IR cap. Also bringing in Team Endurance Racing. And we're going to add another 10 minutes on to the Endurance for Amateur series races. So come check that out. Get signed up. Plenty of spots still available if you guys want to join. Like I said, go to PonyExpressSimRacing.com and jump in the Pony Express Sim Racing Discord channel. Any one of the admins there will be happy to help you get started and come join this great group of amateur drivers. As we are here live from Daytona, it looks like these guys are keeping it clean tonight. Nobody at the moment is really in jeopardy of having to suffer that dreaded drive-through penalty. 20 incident points here in the amateur series, and you get yourself a drive-through. That has changed recently due to some issues. Some guys doing a little bit overly aggressive, trying to keep that to a minimum. As we are going to step away here for a few moments, we are going to keep you guys focused on the leaders here, Terry Kroger and Paul Skip, leading your GTE field here tonight at Daytona Endurance for Amateur series, brought to you by Pony Express. We shall be back in a minute. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you live from Daytona Road Course, Pony Express Endurance for Amateur Series, as we are now 52 minutes into our race, and Paul Skip and Terry Kroger have been nose to tail this entire race. Paul seems pretty content to just sit back there. Meanwhile, our GT3 leader was Carl Hamrick, but he has pulled into the pits. He's made his pit stop. As we jump on board here with our new leader, Aaron Clayball. Aaron, who also happens to be the current series points leader, with a very slim 1-point margin over Nicholas Pletty, who is currently down in 6th position. Now, once pit cycles run through, it'll be curious to see where Carl rejoins the field. In fact, so here's Carl now, coming on to the back straight. And we have our leader, Aaron Clayball. So you see how big of a lead Carl had. Carl's managed to do a pit stop, and he is not that far behind our current leaders. You see Aaron getting in a little bit hot there. So Aaron's going to come in for his pit stop, followed closely by Tom Corner. And I would imagine Ryan Glover is going to come in for his. Benjamin Morales is coming in, and Benjamin's coming in really hot. Oh, is he able to get that thing slowed down? And he just gets that slowed down. Benjamin making up all the time he possibly could coming into pit lane there. And you see Ryan Glover's coming into pit lane. We got Zachary Nuremberger in pit lane. Andrew Malinowski. Meanwhile, here comes Carl Handwerk. Well, Carl had a 22.5-second lead before the pit stop. So he managed to do right around 51 minutes. So plenty of time for the second half of this race, as Carl is going to easily regain his lead back up there at the top of GT3. Question is, how far back here? We see Aaron Clayball just coming out of the pits now. The extremely tricky pit lane here at Daytona. It's really tight, really awkward, long. You see him getting a little loose there, and now they get the green light to head out onto the track. And the first thing you do is you come into that hard international horseshoe, trying to make sure you don't run in there a little too deep. As everybody else here, we have Benjamin Morales is coming back out onto pit lane, followed by Zachary Nuremberger. And there we have an incident. Tom Corner just gets it wrong. It's such a tricky pit lane. Oh, and try to keep it off the wall, Tom. There we go. Oh, what a shame for Tom. He was having a great race tonight, too, and just gets it wrong in pit lane. Pit lane here at Daytona, there's just no room for error. Well, as these guys cycle all through their pit stops, that is going to put Carl Handwerk back out into the lead by 26.5 seconds. Benjamin Morales is able to pull up into third. Nice to see him making a good recovery after a rough few starts there earlier. Zachary Nuremberger up 16 positions into 4th place. Trying everything he can catch up to Benjamin Morales. You see Zachary here coming into the horseshoe, and Benjamin just coming around, coming near the up to banking in turn 4, getting ready to come in through the tri-oval and to the start finish line. Nicholas Paletti and Andrew Malinowski find themselves in a battle here for 5th position. Nicholas second in the points this season, 1 point behind Aaron Clayball, who currently sits in 2nd place. So Aaron, if things stay the way they are, is going to extend that lead just a little bit. You see Andrew Malinowski is trying to make that pass on the outside, and looks like Nicholas is just going to let him have that position right now. Not fighting too hard. Now you'll watch these guys if they stay close together for the rest of this lap. Nicholas will have the draft coming down into turn 1, and he'll be able to pull that pass off on Andrew. Kind of a give or take thing. You really need to make that pass and then pull away through the infield section. Otherwise, the draft, they just suck right back up on you. As you see, Terry Kroger is trying to pull away from Paul Skip, trying to break that draft. Paul is dropped back a little bit. He was at 8/10 at one point in time, and then he's able to pull right back on the back of Terry. Both these guys having a great race, as they have managed to gap themselves quite a bit from Daniel Higley. No real pressure from our leaders, from anybody behind. They're able to just run off and do their own race. And you see here, Nick Terrell managed to work his way up 8 positions tonight. Nice race by Nick, up there into 4th place. A little further back, quite a ways back there, you have Doug Augerbright, who is currently running 5th place in GTE. And he is followed by Tyler Langenberg, who is apparently out. Looks like we've got quite a few drivers out so far tonight. In fact, it looks like Tyler Langenberg may have put it on the hauler. Well, that's going to leave, if that is really the case. Trying to see it. Brad McCombs, I saw him in the chat on Discord, so I know Brad's out. Looks like that's going to leave 4 drivers in GT3 or GTE tonight. Oh, 5 drivers. Looks like Doug Augerbright's going to be your last running GTE car tonight. Well, that's a shame for those guys. But what that has done, that is move Carl Hanwork all the way up into 5th overall. So a nice race for Carl. It looks like everybody's kind of gotten themselves spread out as we settle in to the last, coming up here with 40 minutes to go. In fact, Carl is having quite the race. He's the only GT3 car on the lead lap, which is an impressive performance. In fact, Terry Kroger Jr.'s best lap is a 142.1. Carl's is a 143.9. He is the only driver in GT3 to dip into the 143s. So, great bit of driving tonight by Carl, along with these two gentlemen. Oh, as we see, no, thought maybe Paul Skip was going to get a run on the inside of Terry, but not so far. I just really think that these guys are content. I know Paul seems to be very content. He hasn't even attempted to put a wheel anywhere near the front of these two guys. As you see, GT3 leader Carl coming around to take the horseshoe or the bus stop one more time here. Carl very smooth on the brakes, very easy on those tires. He knows he's got a 30-second lead. There's no need for him to push and take a chance. As boring as a 30-second lead is, I would imagine Carl is more than excited to take it. Jump back here with Terry and Paul. Oh, there we go. As I mentioned earlier, Paul has not even shown a wheel to Terry tonight. He has backed off, which has allowed Terry to just run his line. It's allowed Paul to sit back there in the draft, saving some fuel, saving his tires. Very good strategy, if in fact that is Paul's strategy for tonight. Just going to sit back there. He did manage to run 2 more laps than Terry, so when these guys have to come back in for their final pit stop, it'd be interesting to see how many laps longer Paul's able to run and how much less fuel he's having to take. These guys are 34 seconds ahead of 3rd place Daniel Higley at the moment, who is just cruising around here on the back of Zachary Nurnberger and Not sure who Zach is next to there, but that is not for position. As he is trying to chase down Benjamin Morales for position. Nice race tonight by Zach. He is there. He lets Daniel Higley go through. And now he's going to try to jump on the back of that BMW. Looks like that Ryan Glover maybe? Was that Tony Watson? Nope. Yep, that would be Tony Watson they're coming up on the back of. Zach is going to try everything he can to get that Lamborghini up there and get a draft from David Hingley coming down this back straight. That's really going to pull him right up on the back of Benjamin Morales if he can get up there close enough. I don't know if he's going to have enough to really use that draft. Doesn't not look like it, unfortunately. Zach was really hoping, I think, to use that draft to pull him up a little bit closer. Looks like he's going to catch Tony Watson's draft, though, a little bit. Tony, who is currently 1 lap down after some incidents earlier. He kind of got caught up in a lap back marker. Excuse me for the coughing here tonight. Terry seems to have a few connection issues. Hopefully that doesn't cause him any issues long term. Just a little blinking. Hopefully that's not causing Paul any issues. A lot of times that guy in front of you starts blinking. You don't know where he is. You don't know where he's coming back. So we got Andrew Malinowski and Nicholas Paletti are still locked in a nice little battle here. This is a battle for 5th position. These guys come around the International Horseshoe. It looks like Nicholas was a little bit slower early on in this stint, but he's caught right back up to Andrew. Trying to put a little pressure on him here. Got the Ferrari of Andrew Malinowski and the BMW of Nicholas Paletti. They're coming onto that in and out. Trying to get on the power as hard and as early as you can, but as gently as possible so you don't lose that rear end. Nicholas should get a little bit of a draft here from him. Let's go check out Mr. Zachary Nürnberger's right on the back of Tony Watson now, and you see the Porsches hard on that brakes there for Tony. But Benjamin has got that car fixed, and so he has been quick in the last couple laps. He's dropped down into the 144s. Zach has slowed down a little bit to the 146s. I'm not sure if he had an incident last time. Oh, he was getting past. So I wonder if that just cost him a little bit of time letting that GT3 car of Doug Augerbright go by. Or excuse me, Daniel Higley go by.
I don't want to scare you, but I'm here.
Mr. Tom Corner, how are you, sir?
Well, I was.
You're in the booth, so that is not what we were hoping to see.
And then had a little incident in the pit exit.
Yes, we saw that live on the broadcast. Unfortunately, you had. We were just having a conversation about how tricky pit road is, and you unfortunately were an example.
Yeah, my favorite part about it is in the practice, I said, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 times, who's going to be the one to loop it in the pit exit? And here I am, spinning out of P3. Couldn't rejoin safely and went back to 7th. And after that, I spun, leg was cramping. I didn't feel like bringing it home. But I'm here now.
Well, it's nice to have you in here as we're taking a look as Marcus Osborne gets in hot into turn 1 and just loses the rear end. And looks like he caused a duet of spins in turn 1. Well, Tom, you had a good race going there for a long time. You were top 5 up into the top 3 at one point in time. Now, I know you talked a little bit before the race, kind of trying to get an idea of how pace was. You seem like you had a pretty good pace tonight, though. It was a shame to see things didn't quite turn out for you.
Yeah, well, before the race, I put in my first ever laps in the GT3 car here. I think it's probably, one of my first laps at this track, this road course, all in all. So I was really surprised by my pace tonight. It's a shame I messed it up, but yeah.
Well, I do have to ask that paint scheme you're running tonight, is that new for you? That was I enjoyed the black, and is that pink or is it like a deep purple?
That paint scheme I've been running, I don't know, I think I ran it at Red Bull Ring as well.
Okay.
That's for my team that I have going. It's very small. It's called the 57 Autosport. Our main colors are black, purple, and pink. So it's, gradient purple pink on there.
Nice.
Yep.
So 57 Motorsports.
Yes.
Nice.
Yep.
Are you any other members racing in Pony Express? As we see Terry Kroger is coming in now. I've been talking a little bit tonight, Tom, and I want to get your opinion on it. I've been watching this battle up here in GTE, which obviously you probably weren't watching since you were racing. Paul Skip and Terry Kroger have been nose to tail for an hour and 7 minutes, and Paul Skip has never even shown a wheel to Terry. So he's been sitting back in the draft, and he's managed to run 2 laps farther. Do you think Paul is using that as strategy to have a shorter pit stop come near the end?
It's definitely a big possibility. I remember watching Daytona 24. Sitting in that slipstream all race gives you that fuel saving. You have to put less fuel in the car, and when it comes to that splash and dash towards the end, Paul's going to have way less to do.
Yeah, if my math serves me correctly, and I am horrible at math, there's a possibility he could run 4 less laps, which I want to say is almost 3, maybe 3.5 seconds worth of fuel. And that's huge at Daytona.
Yep. If you get 3.3 seconds out of their way, that slipstream is gone, and then you're golden. Because
Yes.
Early in the race, I was following the lead runners in GT3. I think it was Carl and Aaron, and Aaron Fulford looped it around. I had to slow down. I lost that slipstream, and I never saw him again.
Yep. Once you lose it, it is so hard to get it back.
It's it's one of the biggest things here at Daytona, and very important.
Yes. Yep. In fact, we were watching, due to the different pit strategies here now with the more fuel for the GT3 cars, Carl Handwerk has managed to work himself up into 4th place overall. So and you were racing, you know how fast Carl is. He's,
yeah.
Go ahead, Tom.
There's also quite the conversation going on in the pits channel, or the
in the
VC
driver channel.
Yep. There's quite the conversation going on about some GTE drivers complaining about setups being way too draggy, and GT3 cars, I was following behind them. If you're in the draft, you're going faster than them. You can pass them in this oval part. So that's another huge factor that brings them up there in 4th.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, unfortunately for the GTE guys tonight, they've all but 5 have dropped out. So,
yeah.
2/3 of the GTE field have had better evenings, I guess.
Definitely. A lot of them started early, 39 laps. Most of them are, all together in incidents.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. As we see Paul Skip still out there. So he's coming up to complete his 2nd lap without his drag partner, I guess you might call Terry Kroger tonight. They've been just running nose to tail all race long. As you see, in fact, we're going to jump on here with Benjamin Morales, and you can see there's the GT3 cars just aren't, or the GTE cars just don't seem to have that pull away speed like we normally see.
Yeah, they really don't. It's all in the slipstream today. And
yes.
I think also Mark may have set the wings a little bit higher than they set the GT3s.
Well, Paul Skip is in for his pit stop. Terry Kroger had a 23.48 second pit stop. Tom. So we're going to see how much less fuel Terry or Paul has to put in. As we see, Terry is coming around NASCAR 4 onto the tri-oval. Paul is still in his pit, and he is almost 2 seconds. So now the question is, Tom, can he get through the fabled pit exit?
We'd hope. There he goes.
Well, he got past the Tom corner.
Yep. And he's
okay, so his strategy, let's see how far of a gap he is able to pull. Now, he's going to be a little bit slow that first lap, but he's got to find a way to keep at least a 1 second lead over Terry Kroger so he can break that draft. That's going to be the key here, don't you think, Tom?
That's definitely the key. If Terry gets in that draft, most of that fuel saving that he did isn't going to be,
it's gone.
Yeah. It'll pretty much all be in the gutter. But he does have that advantage at the end still. He can take less fuel.
Well, that should be their last pit stop now. We are coming on. We are 27 minutes left in this thing, so they should be good to go to the end. And he's managed to maintain the 2.5 second gap, which is kind of what we thought he was going to end up with, based strictly on that strategy of, I guess, baiting Terry into leading this whole race.
Yeah, it's pretty good. These are the two that are battling for the points, right?
Yes. Well, Terry's down a little bit in the points. Actually, David Lehman, who is not here tonight, and Patrick Ripley, who is not here tonight, are your top three. I'm not sure how many points behind Terry is. Terry, and it's kind of hard to tell because of the drop weeks that we don't know who's dropped yet. So we really won't have a very good understanding until the last race of the year, but we can look through here. Let's see if we go into the standings. You're supposed to know all this, Tom.
Yeah, I will get that up. Not a very prepared commentator here.
Oh, let's see here. Actually, Terry is currently in 6th place. He is 24 points behind, so not very far behind. But again, we have Terry's only dropped one race so far, as has, in fact, all the leaders have only dropped their one race, and they still have 3 more drops, so it's going to be a battle all season long. And actually, now that I'm watching, looks like Paul Skip's able to put a little bit of a gap on Terry Kroger as well. I wonder if Paul was not only saving fuel, but saving some pace.
Definitely possible. Back in that, it's much easier to follow and save tires, in my opinion. You don't have to push as hard in the corners. You make it all up in the straight.
Yep. It looks like Paul has found himself right where he wants to be. Now it's just a matter of, can he run those consistent laps? It's pretty easy to run those consistent laps when you got a guy in front of you and you can let off and you can maintain that gap. Now he's got to push a little bit harder than he's had to all night to keep that gap. It's not always easy to change after, an hour and 10 minutes of driving one way to all of a sudden switch to being the leader.
Definitely not. Paul Skip's got a lot of skills, so I think it's something he'll be able to handle, but we'll just have to see.
Well, one guy that doesn't seem to have a problem running from the lead tonight is Carl Handwerk. He has managed to stretch out a 37-second lead over Aaron Clayball.
He's definitely been super fast. Carl, I believe, outqualified me by hundredths of a second. So he's definitely found some pace over the course of the race.
Yeah, he is the only driver in GT3 to hit the 143s tonight.
That's quite the lap.
Yeah. Yep. His fastest lap is faster than some of the guys in GTE. So Carl has definitely slowly worked himself into pace. And in fact, he's still running 144.2s an hour and 16 minutes into this thing. That is some impressive driving.
I wonder if he's taken any tires to keep that lead. I guess not.
He had a 39-second pit stop, and that's about par with everybody else. So I'm going to guess he just took... The only one that looks like they took tires was Ryan Glover. Ryan is currently down in 8th position.
That's why he took so long to get behind me, because he followed me into the pits. We were having that long battle for quite a while. And I spun and, sat there for a while, and he was still behind me when I went back racing. So I was wondering what happened there.
Yep, so he was the only one that took pits. We see some incidents going on here. We had Richard Curry with just your typical turn one, get in there a little bit hot. See Doug Augerbright here coming through the kink. Wonder what happened to Doug. You don't usually see many incidents in the kink, and oh boy, he gets it really wrong though. Just caught the outside and into the tire while Doug goes, and oh, that's gonna... Oh, actually, that was coming on to the front straight, or the back straight there, so not a good night for Doug so far.
Oh, that's the exact place that I spun. You just catch that little piece of grass right next to that curb, and it's not fun.
And it's really a deceiving corner. It's wide open. You don't see what doesn't appear to be any trouble, but it's so flat, and you're trying to get on the gas so hard because you need that momentum coming down the back straight that you see a lot of guys with that rear end stepping out.
Yep. It's so wide open, and you go into that corner, and most of the corners following that are really fast corners, and then you get in there and it's, oh, this is a really slow corner. Well, slower corner.
Yep.
Really got to find that balance. Get in the zone.
Well, Paul Skip, Terry Kroger, and Carl Handwerk have been in the zone for an hour and 20 minutes, and it doesn't appear like they are going to drop out of that anytime soon. And I don't want to do the broadcaster curse, but these three have been putting on quite a show tonight as far as precision racing. In fact, Paul Skip has 2 incident points. Terry Kroger's got 1, and Carl has yet to put a wheel off the track.
That's
some pretty impressive racing, especially at Daytona, where, man, you're right on that very edge all race long. Especially corner one. Corner one, you almost expect to have an incident there at some point in time.
Yeah, and another one is the bus stop. If you go a little too deep and touch the grass on the exit curb,
yep,
then 1x, you can even go, 2 inches too deep and get a slowdown, which costs you a lot of time.
Yes, it does. And we're going to jump on board here with Mr. Paul Skip in the gyro cam, because I know Mr. Bryce Anderson will at some point in time watch this, and he will appreciate the gyro cam.
He definitely will.
Especially here at Daytona, because it shows just the massive amount of banking that there are in these corners.
Yeah, that's one of the things that surprised me the first time I drove it. I never thought of it as being that steep, but you get up there and you're, sideways.
You pretty much are. It's like 33-degree banking, which is just amazing.
It's amazing. I heard, I'm sure this is common knowledge, banking is only as high as the people that built it could stack the dirt.
Yeah, that is the story that I have heard.
Yeah.
And you see Paul, and then there's that turn one. It's such an awkward turn. You're coming off the banking, you have the transition, you're at as fast as your car can go, and then you have to down and brake on that weird transition into an awkward left-hander all the way down into first gear. It's a really hard corner that a lot of guys struggle with when you're first learning this track.
Definitely took me by surprise. I was learning it, 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago. And I had to look up a track guide. I could not figure it out. So.
It's just a difficult corner because you have to kind of cut in at a weird angle, and you don't see the entrance to turn one until you're right on it.
And oh no.
Sorry, Tom. Zachary Nurburger's had an incident. He's had such a great race tonight. Hopefully it's not a bad incident as he is behind Tony Watson. coming into the International Horseshoe. And he gets in really deep. Wow. Well, lucky for Zach, though, he's able to keep it on track and hopefully not lose too many positions. Oh, what a shame for Zach. He was having a great race, too.
Yeah, I believe he started towards the back. He didn't set a qualifying time. He started 33rd. He's up to 8th now.
Yeah, he's up 16 positions tonight. So Zach's having a great race. Unfortunately, what that did for him was it brought Andrew Malinowski right on his rear bumper. And now he's lost his drafting partner as well.
We look to see some good battles coming up soon, I guess.
Yeah, we're down to the last 17 minutes here at Daytona. And it looks like Zachary Gerberger has found himself in a battle he was not expecting to just one lap earlier.
Andrew's looking for the run on him. Let's see what he can do.
He's on that outside. I think he's telling Zach, I'll let you have it, I'll let you have it. Or he's telling Zach, hey, I'm taking this.
Here they go.
Oh, and he hits.
Oh, into the barrier.
No, it's Zach.
Zach's not going to be happy. He's stuck in there. He's going to have to tow.
Yeah, he's going to have to tow. We saw Jimmy Covert earlier get stuck in there. Once that, you can't get out. Oh, Zach is not going to be happy, unfortunately for him. Oh, what a shame. And unfortunately, he is past pit entrance, which means he's got to tow the entire lap of the track. Oh, what a shame for Zach.
I'm going to do some analysis here, see what I can find for who caused that mostly.
Well, we're going to take another look at it here on the replay. And it's hard to tell. Let's see if...
Seems like a racing accident, but if I had to choose somebody, I think I'd go with Andrew, because it looks like he just barely turns in on him.
We're going to see if we can... Actually, we're going to see if we can pull it up on the chase here.
That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, so we're going to pull this up on the chase cam. We'll be able to see Andrew on the outside. Zach's clearly... Now he's kind of there. Zach's holding his line. Oh, it looked like Andrew might have turned down just a little bit on him.
Looks like...
All I know is I'm glad we're not broadcasting the driver channel right now.
No, there's not much going on. Well, I don't know about the VC. I don't think Andrew's in there. But in game chat, I don't hear much. I don't know if you can hear that. But
no, we don't. I don't listen to it. We don't play it on the broadcast because there have been moments.
For a good reason. But
yes.
Zach really did not say much.
I would imagine there'll be some conversations after the race. Unfortunately, and Zach was having a great race too.
I think
managed to work himself up into a top 5. I have noticed that Terry Kroger has managed to cut that gap just ever so slightly on Paul. He was up to about 3 seconds. He's back down about 2.5 now. But unfortunately for Terry, he has no draft, and it looks like these guys are not going to catch any lap traffic for a while. So it looks like Terry is going to have to find some speed on the infield portion of this track.
Well, here we are approaching lap 50.
Lap 50, we have roughly 15 minutes to go here. Not quite 15 minutes, 14 minutes to go as we see Carl Handwerk trying to make his way through some of these lapped cars in the GT3 field. Hopefully these guys, Marcus Osborne and the likes, will let Carl go through. Although I would imagine Carl's not going to push them real hard with a 42-second lead.
No, it looks like Carl lost his 4th overall to Nick Terrell. He gets that slipstream now. Yep,
he's got that slipstream from Marcus Osborne. Would imagine Marcus will won't put up a fight here. He should let Carl go by. Carl coming up on the inside. Nice bit of racing there. Carl negotiates that bus stop once again.
Letty is now about right on the tail of Andrew Malinowski. looking to overtake him for that podium spot. Or no, they're fourth.
Fourth position, yep.
Yep.
Benjamin Morales, who is having a quiet evening. He had some incidents earlier in the race, got caught up in had a little spin, and then got caught up in somebody else's spin. Has had a pretty boring race here in third place, as has one Andrew Claybaugh. Just these two have been running pretty much by themselves for the last half of this race or better. So Tom, on these long endurance races, at the start of the race, it's pretty chaotic. You're in a mess for the first lap or two, and then sometimes you just have a tendency to where you get spaced out and you get spread out pretty hard. How hard is it to maintain concentration when you're kind of all by yourself? There's, you look on your relative, there's a guy 10 seconds ahead and the next guy's 10 seconds behind. How hard is it when you're not having battles all the time to maintain that concentration?
It gets pretty tricky. That's one of the things that happened with me when I put it in the wall. You think, okay, well, I'm just going to do a few laps and you'll be doing the same thing every time, and you lose that focus. And all of a sudden, I should have braked about 5 meters ago. And every tenth of a second you don't brake, that's about 10 meters that you brake later. So you go off, you go deep, you lose that time, and then you're left scrambling to, run back away. But as we see, looks like Nick Paletti going for a move on the outside, decides to back off on Andrew Malinowski.
Yeah, there's some places at Daytona that you really have to be perfect if you're going to make the passes there. And into these two horseshoes, you have to be absolutely perfect. There's just not enough room to make a little bit of mistake, because you're going to take out you and the other guy.
Definitely. And there's no easy way to pass somebody without both of you losing a lot of time, unless you do it in the oval. But a lot of these turns, the nature of them, you got to be on the racing line or you're not going to be as fast.
Correct. And like for Nicholas here and Andrew, losing a little bit of time is not a big deal. If they get into a little bit of battle, they got quite a bit of a cushion. But if you start battling lap after lap after lap, next thing you know, your two-man battle is a four-man battle, and you've just brought the rest of the field into your battle, which is definitely not what you want to do.
It's definitely not what you want to do, because then you get a mess. Somebody misses their breaking point, and that's a whole pile up you got going. It's just no fun.
Yeah, we had incidents like that in the open wheel for amateurs race on Monday. David Lehman was in a three-way battle, and he wisely backed out one corner before the two guys in front of him took each other out, and he just drove through and found himself on the podium.
Yeah, with these longer races, 04A isn't as long, but the longer the race, you just gotta drive. It's not all about pace. It's just stay alive, and everybody else will wreck themselves out.
Yeah, that's unfortunately what happens a lot of times is people make their own mistakes. You just kind of sit back there. But then again, you got nights like tonight where Paul and Terry, they didn't make any mistakes. They haven't made any mistakes. And if you weren't on your game, you were just going to get left behind.
Definitely. It's just keep that focus. It's whoever can focus for the longest time.
Yes, we see coming down to 9 minutes to go. And Terry Kroger has managed to cut some more of that gap, Tom. He is down to 2.3 seconds. I think the magic number here is you got to be about 6 or 7 tenths before you really get the effects of that draft. 1 second you get kind of close, but I really think you need to get it under a second if you're really going to get that draft.
Do you think by the end of this race we'll see some NASCAR style on the last lap? Paul and Terry going at it, wrecking each other right at the finish?
I don't think they're going to wreck each other. If they're close enough, they're going to race each other hard. But I think these two have raced each other long enough and are skilled enough where they're going to battle, but they're not going to take each other out. I don't think either one of them wants to ruin an hour and 40 minutes of work for the possibility of maybe getting that victory.
Very true. A lot of these drivers will see will be moving on to Dark Horse Endurance next season with LMP2 and GT3. Wonder what the who's gonna stay and who's gonna go.
Yeah, it'll be interesting with the Dark Horse, and then you also have the Team Endurance Racing and a few other the new leagues. I talked about that a little bit earlier. Told everybody check out the website. There's a bunch of new series and a bunch of new leagues coming up. It'll be exciting, and with the new format for endurance for amateurs too, with the GT4, the GT3, and the GTEs. Looks like they're well. I think it's GT4 and GT3A and B or something like that. So they're going to be a little bit of mix-up next year, and then they're going to start graduating drivers. You win a championship, you're forced to move up into the next division. You win that one, you're forced to move up into the next one, which is good because you don't want to have the same guy winning every weekend.
Yeah, with the E4A, I believe the way it stands right now, after I don't know how many changes we've made, it's GT4 is a set class and GT3 is one class. It used to be GT3A, GT3B. We had a point where it was GT4 was one car and GT3 was one car to eliminate like car choices and all of that. GT3A, GT3B. A lot of different deliberation. Mark and the whole Pony Express admin team has put a lot of thought into what's going to happen for next season, and it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, and we're looking at Paul Skip here coming up on the back of the GT3 guys, and these guys are in their own battle, and Paul has had to go down on the apron because the two guys in front of him, which should be pulling over, have decided they're going to go door to door into the bus stop. Whoa, where is Paul going to go? He is not going to be happy, and that is one of those admin things that they need to have a conversation with those two drivers about. Because that, unfortunately, Paul Skip's lead is now gone. And that's a shame because those two guys are getting the blue flag. They should have both pulled over and let Paul go by. What are your thoughts on that, Tom?
Well, unfortunately, the whole time you were telling me about that, Paul was not showing up on my screen. But here's Terry going down the inside right now for me.
Yep, Terry's on the inside, and Paul is not going to be happy. As
Paul just has to let it happen now.
Jimmy Covert, I believe that's Jimmy Covert, and trying to see who that is in front of him. I think that's Daniel Reel, who are laps down. Granted, they're in their own battle, but they very easily may have just cost Terry or Paul Skip the victory.
Daniel now lets them by on the main straight. He says, "What do you think Paul's thinking in this moment? Is he gonna? I don't know what the wording is. Gonna be wishing that they got out of the way, or is he just gonna be like, okay, I'm in a better position?"
He is probably pretty hot right now, I would imagine. You know, he had this race. You know, he had a 3-second gap, and because the two slower drivers in front decided they were going to battle for a position, knowing they should have pulled over, you know, now they're going to pull over. Well, it's a lap too late in Paul's eyes, so Paul needs to just relax, calm down, and you see here he's going to come up on the inside. Now, you're just hoping that Paul is not driving angry, because oftentimes driving angry means you end up having an incident. Now, I'm surprised there that Paul took the lead. I would have thought, like you said, Paul would have stayed behind and used that draft to make a last-second pass at the start-finish line.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very close race. We've got about 6 minutes left, so that's
We might get 3 more laps, maybe.
3 or 4 laps. So, do you think Terry's going to sit back in that slipstream, or does he want to be in front going on the last lap?
Well, it's hard to tell because the slipstream, while it's been effective, I haven't seen anybody really use it to their advantage. You know, it's hard to tell because these guys are in the slipstream, but are they backing out a little bit at the end, trying to save a little bit? But I think we're going to find out here on this lap exactly what Terry and Paul have, because it looks like Paul has really put the hammer down, so to speak, and Terry is right on the back. So we're going to see exactly, in fact, you know what? The benefits of e-racing is we can actually jump in with Terry and we can see if he's letting off a little bit to make sure Paul stays in the lead, or if he's really going for it.
All right, I'll try to find him on my little list. Here he is. Number 911. Let's hop in that
So
cockpit.
you see, so you can see he's in the draft now. And he's just not quite able to pull up on the back. Now we'll see if he can. Ooh, and Paul gets a great run out of the bus stop.
Another one of those moments where my game is not showing me who we want to watch. Here we go.
Well, you can
Back
see
now.
Terry's in the draft. And it, now you can clearly see there Terry did not lift at all. So I don't know if the draft is enough here. No, and you mentioned some of the drivers were saying the cars feel a little draggy. There might not be enough of a slipstream tonight to allow Terry to make that pass.
It's also possible though, with the more the drag, the more the slipstream's gonna help.
That's
So,
true.
I don't know.
Well, you know what? We're coming up to the last 2 minutes here, as we're going to stay right with this battle till the very end, as unfortunately Carl Handwerk and Aaron Clayball have kind of just put themselves in a spot where, once again, Carl with a huge lead. Oh, Terry runs it in really deep. Whoa, that might just be what Paul needed.
And now Paul's got the lap car in front of him to give him a little tow.
Well,
Terry.
you know what happened last time Paul had a lap car in front of him, though.
That is very true. Of course, now everybody again is disappearing on my screen, but it's going to be a very close one today. That's for sure.
Yes.
I am stuck watching Andrew Malinowski. I want to see this battle. There we are, back on Paul Skip's stream.
As
Makes
Paul
it
is,
past-
that lap driver has done the right thing, and they've just pulled off to the high side and told Paul to go ahead.
That looks like that was Chris Lawson, I believe. Yeah, Chris Lawson.
Believe so, yes.
He's a member of Team Pony Express. He knows to get out of the way.
Oh, and you see Marcus Osborne's had a spin. Marcus had a few of those in that corner tonight. So we have Tom corner coming out of the pit lane. We'll have to call that Marcus Osborne corner there. He's had a few of those incidents, but we're gonna stay along here as now. SDK doesn't tell me if we're on the white flag lap or not, but I know that the timer is getting ready to expire on this race.
We are indeed on the white flag lap.
So we are coming along here, and I don't think that Terry Kroger is going to have enough to catch up to Paul. Paul's got a bus stop to get through.
Terry's flashing his lights at him.
Telling him, good race. I got nothing for you.
A great battle, hard fought by both drivers. They're disappearing again, but here they come. Through the bus stop.
Paul's going
Paul's
through the
test
bus stop
make
for
it
the
through
last
here.
time.
No mistakes. Looks good.
Nice and clean.
Looks good to call him our winner tonight, but
With 3 incident points, and you know, the man of the day, I give Paul credit, the man of the day still has to be Carl Handwerk. He's going to finish 4th overall with 0 incident points.
that's a race right there. That's a man.
That is amazing.
He's definitely gonna be up in Dark Horse Endurance. I'm sure he'll be challenging Dennis if they race the same class.
Congratulations to Paul Skip, Terry Kroger Jr. And let's jump on board here real quick if we can find Mr. Carl Handwerk, as he is coming for the last time through in and out. Going to jump on the back straight. And unfortunately, Tom, we're going to have to wait almost a full minute before Aaron Clayball gets to the finish line.
Yeah,
actually, he is officially finished, I think, because they are a lap down.
Yeah.
So they actually, now that's some strange things. The second place guy actually finished before the winner. Which just goes to show you how fast Carl was tonight. The only GT3 guy on the lead lap.
It was an insane race for Carl. I mean, I've never seen anything like that in iRacing. In terms of just raw domination. It's like F1 Mercedes here.
Yes. Yeah, Paul Butler is in the chat there, and he says, Carl is just that freaking good. Well, Carl was even better tonight. Congratulations to Carl and everybody else. So Carl Handwerk, Aaron Clayball, and Benjamin Morales managed just to come home with a third-place podium victory and podium finish tonight. And we are going to jump into the Discord and see if anyone is going to be in the waiting room tonight. So far, we have no takers down there. Paul Skip and Terry Kroger are usually pretty good about that, as is Carl. But we'll give them a few minutes here as everybody's just finishing up. Meanwhile, let's throw up the race results here. You see Paul Skip followed by Terry Kroger Jr. Nick Terrell comes home in third place. Daniel Higley, Doug Augerbright round out your top five. Then we have Brad McCombs, Tyler Langenberg, Bryce Anderson, Atticus Middleton, Aaron Fulford, Ronnie Osmer, Christian Adamakura, and Paul Boyle. In GT3, the man of the night, and it doesn't show up. You got to back it up. We got Carl Handwerk, followed by Aaron Clayball, Benjamin Morales, your top three. Then we have Andrew Malinowski, Nicholas Paletti, Mark Thomas, Ryan Glover, Daniel Barnett, Marcus Osborne, and Jimmy Covert rounding out your top 10. Followed by Daniel Reel, Richard Curry, Zachary Nurnberger. Unfortunately for Zach, was having a great race. We'll find out all about that on Friday's podcast. Tony Watson, Chris Lawson, Dave Ferrara, Richard Hurst, Tom Cormer, Sean Adkins, Gary Schilling, James Foreman, and Adria Garcia here tonight at Daytona. Next week, we are headed to Road America. And let's see who we got. We got some guys in the waiting room. Let's go down and grab the man of the night, Mr. Paul Skip, and get him up here. Mr. Paul Skip, congratulations, sir. What an amazing race.
Thank you, JR. I was starting to feel like old Dale Earnhardt there. It's just not meant to win Daytona, I guess.
Well, so I had some questions for you, but first I want to ask, you had a almost 3-second lead coming up on some lap traffic that, shall we say, didn't play nice?
Yeah, it was, I forget who it was. It doesn't really matter. I know they were 10th and 11th and they're battling, and, I had to get through, and I was like, well, if position 11 is going to go right, well, I'm going to go down on the apron and I'm going to see if I can make it stick. And it didn't work out too good, in my favor, but, it made for an interesting last few laps. Terry got around me 3 wide on the front straight, and, just kind of battled for a little bit, and I just kept the hammer down.
Well, I watched you for the first hour and 20 minutes, and you followed Terry religiously. You never even put a wheel in there. And then I think it kind of hit me after your first pit stop. Was that your strategy, was to just sit back and let Terry burn up the fuel? And then you were 4 laps to the good and 2.5 seconds better on the pit stop. Was that the strategy going forward, or did it just kind of play out that way?
I think it more just played out that way. When Terry got ahead of me in qualifying, I sent him a quick message and I said, look, I'm not going to fight you. Let's just run away together. So I was doing my part. I was not putting any pressure on him. I was just, we were trying to run away from the rest of the field. And I figure, middle toward the end of the race, we'll work it out on track. And fortunately, I drafted him so much, I was able to save fuel. It was that last stop that I stopped short. I took less fuel and I came out, I think it was like 2 seconds ahead, and it just kind of stayed that way up until that second to last lap or third to last lap incident.
Well, it was a great race. You and Terry had a great clean battle for an hour and 40 minutes. So congratulations, Paul. I know this is kind of what we talked about on the podcast. So congratulations once again. And who are we giving a big shout out to tonight, Paul, for putting you in victory lane?
You know what? I'm going to thank Mark Dillon Jr. for putting on the league. He puts up with so much stuff from everybody, and he soldiers through it. This is one of the best leagues out there for anybody. I don't care what level you are. Pony Express is one of the better leagues out there, some of the best racing out there, and Mark is the man responsible for that.
Well, congratulations, Paul, and I look forward to hopefully speaking to you again next Wednesday in Road America.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do.
All right, congratulations, Paul. Skip your winner tonight in GTE.
Thanks,
and
JR.
Now we are going to go grab Mr. Carl Handwerk, who is by far the man of the evening. Mr. Carl Handwerk, what a performance tonight, sir.
Yeah, that felt good. That felt good. I mean, it's after the last 2 weeks, I needed this.
Well, I'm kind of at a loss. The only guy on the lead lap in GT3, you were fourth overall, and you had 0 incident points. I think that might be the trifecta. I think that's probably one of the better performances I've ever seen.
Almost 2.5. I had 1 incident point. Now I'm still a little steamed about that because it was a stupid little mistake in the bus stop, and as soon as I got, I'm like, no. But
okay,
now,
mine shows 0. So,
well, I'll take yours. Yours sounds better.
All right.
But yeah, no, I mean that just, like I said, I mean the only way I could say is it felt good. I mean every lap just felt good. Like usual, I tested all the cars and all the setups for tonight, and the Ferrari to me was by like 3-4 miles per hour the slowest on the straightaways, and I was really leaning towards going towards like the Beamer or the Porsche because they were both 4 miles an hour faster, but they were really sketchy through the bus stop. And my teammate Jimmy Covert basically talked me into going with the Ferrari because it's a lot more stable, and it was just it was almost hard to get it out of control. It was just sticking and diving wherever I wanted to go. It felt great all night.
Well, it certainly did. I think you were 51 seconds ahead of second place. In fact, we joked during the broadcast that that's the first time I've ever seen the second place driver finish before the first place driver. That's how far ahead you were.
I'll take it. Like I said, I mean, the last 2 weeks getting taken out by somebody that spun out and just totally wrecking me and destroying my race. That I needed this just good solid race. Sucks that Benjamin had his issues in the beginning, but I don't mind just having a nice little Sunday cruise on a Wednesday. Great.
Well, congratulations again. We look forward to seeing you next week. And you got to be running out of people to thank, Carl, at this point. Who are we thanking tonight?
It's the same team as always. I mean, Core Racing League. The guys in there helped me out a bunch. Obviously, Jimmy and Mark in the race here. Jimmy had a little bit of an issue, but he still almost finished with actually looks like he finished with a P10, and Mark almost got a P5, so good job on those guys. But yeah, all the guys that helped me out. Barry, I know he's out there watching. Shout out to him, and you guys for the broadcast, and Pony for the host. It's fun when you have nights like this. It makes the night just feel that much better.
Good. Well, congratulations once again, and who knows? Maybe we'll see you next week in Road America.
Sounds like a plan, buddy.
All right, take care, Carl. Congratulations. You're a winner tonight in GT3 by a landslide, Mr. Carl Handwerk. All right, let's go down and grab Terry Kroger Jr.
Oh, yeah, they took it.
Mr. Terry Kroger Jr., congratulations, sir. I know you wanted that podium victory, but looks like you may have been outsmarted by your buddy there, Paul Skip.
Yeah, just a little bit. I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't think it was going to be on the last pit stop, a 1.5 to 2 second difference. But with being able to stay out an extra lap or two and take 2 laps less of fuel, That's just how it worked out, unfortunately. But I thought I had a chance there at the end when I took him 3 wide into turn 1, but didn't go my way.
Well, all race we saw it kind of coming. Paul was just sitting back there, and you could, we jumped in the in car and you could see him coasting quite a bit earlier. And once that first pit stop you pulled in and he was managed to do 2 extra laps, I thought, ooh, this looks like Paul's got some strategy playing.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't sure if you were going to just let him go by one of those times. And then he had that incident. He had a good lead on you that he got in the pit lane. And he had that incident. And like you said, you took him 3 wide into there. How did you want to push that a little bit harder, or what was the thought? That's a pretty split-second decision there.
It was my only opportunity to try to get back ahead of him, and then it was just going to be a fight to stay there, which I lost it on the backstretch going in the bus stop. I wasn't going to push it in the bus stop. That's not the best place to do that. But I was trying to stay close enough to him after he got back by me, and until the last lap coming down out of the bus stop, to the start finish line, and try to steal it from him there at the end. But had a little bit of a lockup coming back onto the NASCAR course, and that was all she wrote. But yeah, going into turn 1, I knew I was going to get there, and I was like, I'm going for it. If it's a disaster, it's a disaster, but I hope it's not.
Well, it wasn't, and it provided a lot of good racing, and we appreciate it. And now you got Road America. Are you excited for Road America?
I am. I did okay there in the LMP race that we had. I haven't run GTE there since when we were there at season 1, and it didn't go too well for me. So hoping for something a little better this time.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. And who do you want to give a shout out to tonight, Terry, for putting you in this awesome spot?
Family and friends that I have that are watching. My wife for putting up with me doing this and all the time I put into it to get ready. Everybody with Pony Express that puts the league on, and you for, taking time out of your busy schedule to do this for us.
Well, I appreciate that. And congratulations once again, Terry Kroger Jr., second place tonight in GTE. Congratulations, Terry. And we look forward to speaking to you next week at Road America.
All right. Thank you.
All right. There's Terry Kroger Jr. And let's grab Aaron Clayball. Mr. Aaron, congratulations on a victory, and I imagine quite the boring race from your perspective.
Yeah, thanks, JR. You're right. It was very quiet, but it was also challenging keeping it clean.
Well, that was my question. Is people watch and they think, oh, Aaron's, he's not going to catch Carl, and he's pretty much relegated to that. But at the same time, there's nobody pushing him. It's got to be probably the easiest place to be in as a racer, but it's so easy to lose concentration in a split second. How hard was it tonight to stay focused for, man, I mean, you were pretty much riding around by yourself for a good 45, 50 minutes there, it seemed like.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, about 20, 25 minutes to go, I was starting to lose focus just because there really wasn't, a challenge from out front or out back. Although towards the end there, Benjamin started really reeling me in, and that got me focused again, and I was able to hold him off.
Well, you come home with the second place tonight. That's going to increase your points lead in the series. How do you feel going into Road America?
Yeah, that one's a little bit of an unknown. Haven't put a ton of laps in there, so I'm a little scared. I'm really looking forward to the last week of the season, Watkins Glen. That's where I got my last win last season. So looking forward to that. Next week, it's just going to be, I think, more about survival and just try to get as many points as I can.
Well, we wish you the best of luck next week, and congratulations today. And who are we thanking tonight, Aaron, for putting you in second place here in GT3?
Yeah, I wanna thank my teammate Nicholas Paletti. He always really pushes me to just continue to extract more and more lap time every week. I want to thank you, JR, for doing the broadcast and the league for putting this on. And also want to give a shout out to Tom Corner. He was really, really fast tonight. It sucks that he got loose and spun out there, but it was really nice to be racing with him up there. He was really fast.
Well, in case you didn't see the other time Tom spun out, you'll have to check out the broadcast because Tom found out just how tricky pit exit is. That was Tom's
Oh,
first
no.
mistake. Yes. Tom
Oh, that-
Tom looped it around on pit exit, and that kind of really cost him and may have broke his concentration a little bit. He jumped in the broadcast booth for a little bit, which is not where I wanted to see Tom. So good luck to Tom next week as well, and good luck to you next week, Aaron, and congratulations tonight on a strong second place finish.
Thanks again, JR. Have a good one, man.
All right, take care, Aaron. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Tonight's race open or endurance for amateurs from Daytona Road Course. Your two victors tonight, Paul Skip and and Carl Handwerk. Those two gentlemen drove a great race tonight. As we look forward to next week, we are coming to you live from Road America, so stay tuned. Broadcast will be live again next week here on the Pony Express YouTube channel. Thanks everyone for stopping by. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow, and you can get all of the recap on Sunday mornings with the PE Sim Racing podcast on Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere you get your podcast from. You can check that out, get a full recap of everything that happened in Pony Express and a lot more.